What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Museum Reviews channel. Today, we will be taking a look at the top 40 19th century paintings from the permanent collection of the Legion of Honor, located in San Francisco, California. Both the Legion of Honor and the De Young Museum collectively make up the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get on to the video. Number 40. Portrait of Dorothy Spreckels Mon was painted by Spanish painter Salvador Dali in 1942. In this fantastical painting, Dali portrays Dorothy Spreckels Mon, the daughter of the founders of the Legion of Honor Museum, as a mystical sea nymph. Mon sat for Dali multiple times, and he created many sketches. However, he ditched these and instead painted this piece with a background purely from imagination. Number 39. The Eiffel Tower was painted by French painter Georges Seurat in 1889. This small composition, depicting the famous tower built by Gustave Eiffel in 1889, highlights Seurat's neo-impressionist style, utilizing tiny dots of bright contrasting color to evoke form and light. Here, Seurat painted the Eiffel Tower before its full completion in the summer of 1889. Number 38. View of Rome. The bridge in Castel Sant'Angelo with the cupola of St. Peter's was painted by French painter Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot between 1826 and 1827. The piece was painted during one of Corot's first trips to Italy, where he developed the fairly recent trend of open-air landscape painting. Many artists before Corot painted this exact same view, but Corot executed it with a much more unique and modern style. Number 37. Banks of the Somme at Picquigny was painted by Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot between 1865 and 1870. The composition depicts the landscape of the Somme River at Picquigny, a small village in northern France. Corot intended to document more than geography, as he instead painted an emotional experience of nature. This became even more present as the Somme region would later become infamous for World War II battles. Number 36. Café Scene was painted by Italian painter Giovanni Boldini in 1887. The painting offers a glimpse into the Parisian café culture, which was prominent in the late 19th century. This small but dynamic study captures a fleeting moment of urban life and creates a sense of spontaneity, acting almost like a snapshot of the scene. Number 35. Portrait of Madame X was painted by Giovanni Boldini in 1907. The portrait depicts Martha de Florian, a Parisian actress and socialite, who is often simply referred to as Madame X. It is believed Boldini had a romantic relationship with Martha, and she was a frequent subject of many of his works in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Number 34. The Impresario was painted by French painter James Tissot in 1878. The painting, which was done by Tissot during his London period, depicts a manager or producer in the performing arts wearing an overcoat turning away from the viewer. Some scholars initially argued that the piece was a work done by Edgar Degas, until further research unearthed that it was painted by Tissot instead. Number 33. The Wave was painted by French painter Gustave Courbet, 1869. This painting is one of several seascapes that the French realist master created in the late 1860s and early 1870s. Each of these works are notable for their raw power, physicality, and almost confrontational immediacy of a powerful wave impeding on a peaceful sea. Number 32. Pyramids of Giza was painted by English painter Thomas Seddon in 1855. During his second voyage to Egypt, Seddon painted this piece depicting a view of the Great Pyramids of Giza from the east, with the peaks of the pyramids of Khufu and Khafre burnt by a glowing sunset. Cézanne was revered for his ability to capture the effects of a region's unique sunlight on the atmosphere and land. Number 31, Self-Portrait, was painted by Gustave Courbet between 1850 and 1855. This self-portrait depicts Courbet in a direct, unidealized manner, which reflects his commitment to depicting reality as he saw it. The portrait is a key piece to understanding Courbet's self-representation and contribution to the realist movement, which dominated the early and mid-19th century. Number 30, Self-Portrait, was painted by James Tissot in 1865. The portrait is a compelling and confident image of Tissot at the height of his early career in Paris. Painted in a refined realist style, the portrait subdues the background and centers the viewer's attention on Tissot's face only, creating a public image of a man in control of his persona and profession. Number 29, Love and the Maiden, was painted by English artist John Rodham Spencer Stanhope in 1877. The marble architecture, floral detailing, and arrangement of figures give the scene a mythological ambience. Some have interpreted the literary connection of the work to allude to the story of Cupid visiting Psyche. However, others have said that the imagery depicts the angel Gabriel coming to Mary to announce that she would be bearing a child. Number 28, View of the Falls at Tivoli, was painted by French painter Louise Josephine Sarrazin de Belmont in 1826. This landscape depicts the famed waterfalls of Tivoli, a town near Rome known for its natural beauty and ancient ruins. Belmont presents the falls cascading down a rocky slope, surrounded by lush vegetation and classical architecture, which some believe are referencing the remains of the Villa of Mecenas or the Temple of Vesta. Number 27, Portrait of Don Ramón de Posada y Soto, was painted by Spanish painter Francisco de Goya in 1801. The portrait depicts Posada, a top Spanish legal official in the early 19th century. At the time, Posada was serving as president of the Council of the Indies, which was one of the most powerful legal institutions governing Spain's colonies. Posada also later became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in Spain. Number 26, Landscape, was painted by French painter Pierre Bonnard between 1900 and 1905. This vibrantly painted painting depicts what is believed to be land near Normandy, where Bonnard typically worked at. A young girl with a dog can be seen playing in a field close to a nearby river and forest. A small village can also be made out in the distance. Number 25, Madame Hessel reclining on a sofa, was painted by French painter Édouard Vuillard between the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This small color composition depicts Lucy Hessel, the wife of Vuillard's art dealer Jos Hessel, reclining on a sofa in her living room. Next to her, a large bouquet of flowers stands on a small table. The Hessel family became lifelong friends with Vuillard, and Lucy was frequently painted by him over the years. Number 24, Shelter on Montmartre, was painted by Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh in 1887. With a wide open sky, unsaved road, and fence covered in sunflowers, Van Gogh depicts the hilltop neighborhood of Montmartre on the northern edge of Paris. Van Gogh settled here in February of 1886 as he studied under an established history painter and learned from the work of the Impressionists who presented their last exhibition that spring. Number 23, Girl in the Window, was painted by Italian painter Giacomo Favoretto in 1880. Favoretto was celebrated for his genre paintings of Venetian life, including those depicting market canes, interiors, and young women at leisure. In this piece, Favoretto incorporates looser brushwork and brighter colors to paint a young girl sitting at her window, looking outward from her domestic space. Number 21. Musicians in the Orchestra was painted by French painter Edgar Degas in 1870. The painting depicts a scene from the opera house, primarily focusing on the musicians in the orchestra pit and offering a unique perspective from their viewpoint. The work is notable for its unusual composition, which emphasizes the backs of the musicians and includes a glimpse of ballet dancers on the stage. Number 20. The Artist's Daughter was painted by French painter Thomas Couture in 1878. This late-career domestic portrait presumably depicts Couture's daughter looking outward with a soft and pensive expression. Light falls gently on her face, casting deeper tones into the background which heighten the emotional gravity of the portrait. Number 19. Portrait of Charles de Verninac was painted by Eugene Delacroix in 1826. The portrait depicts Charles de Verninac, the nephew of Delacroix and a diplomat in the French Foreign Service. Stylistically, the painting reflects the influence of British portraiture, which was growing in popularity during this period. Unfortunately, Delacroix's nephew passed away in 1834 and deeply affected the artist and his future works. Number 18. Still Life with Skulls, Leeks, and a Picture, March 14, 1945, was painted by Spanish painter Pablo Picasso in 1945. The painting belongs to a larger series of still life works that Picasso produced on the themes of war, death, and suffering during the years of World War II when he was living in Paris under German occupation. The grimacing skull is a reminder of death, but the lighter feel of the work reflects anticipation for the war's end. Number 17. The Broken Pitcher was painted by French painter William Adolphe Bouguereau in 1891. This large portrait, depicting a French or Italian country girl, exhibits the stylistic techniques of Bouguereau, including an idealized approach of the human figure and smooth three-dimensional modeling. The theme of peasant and rural imagery was inspired from the works of Courbet and Millet around the mid-19th century. Number 16, Head of Christ, was painted by French painter Edouard Manet between 1864 and 1865. Painted in the style of realism, Manet depicts a somber and realistic image of Christ wearing a crown of thorns, emphasizing his humanity and suffering. Unlike many other painters in his time, Manet kept close ties with the progressive wing of the Catholic Church in France and was a lifelong personal friend of several important clerics. Number 15, Sewing Party at Lochdedy, was painted by Edouard Vuillard in 1912. The painting, featuring bright colors and vibrant brushstrokes, depicts a group of women engaged in a sewing circle in the Breton town of Lochdedy. This piece highlights the influence that Japanese prints had on Vuillard's work and his great interest in painting interior scenes. Number 14, The Birthday, was painted by English painter William Holman Hunt in 1868. This portrait depicts Edith Waugh, Hunt's second wife and the sister of his deceased first wife, on her 21st birthday. The painting is characterized by its vibrant coloring and tactile brushwork, which was common in Hunt's artwork. Number 13, The Assuaging of the Waters, was painted by English painter John Martin in 1840. This large-scale composition depicts the biblical narrative of Noah's Ark in the guise of a seascape. As recounted in Genesis, the dove returns to the ark with an olive branch as proof of dry land. Martin himself also depicts a raven standing over a drowned serpent, symbolizing triumph over Satan and sin. Number 12, Banks of the Loing, was painted by French painter Alfred Sisley in 1891. In the last decade of his life, Sisley lived near the Moret-sur-Loing and painted numerous views of the Loing River and its canals. In this depiction, Sisley captures a tranquil scene on the riverbank which includes luscious trees, a small raft, and multiple figures. Number 11, Hunter in a Landscape near Pontoise, was painted by French painter Camille Pissarro in 1879. During his stay in Pontoise during the 1870s, Pissarro painted many scenes depicting rural life, such as this one. This piece depicts a small hunter figure walking down a serene path, surrounded by trees. The hunter was a recurring theme in Pissarro's paintings and symbolizes the harmony between humans and nature. Number 10, Forest Interior, was painted by French painter Paul Cézanne between 1898 and 1899. This painting, depicting rounded forms of rocks, vertical tree trunks, and foreground vegetation, highlights Cézanne's influential and modernist approach to painting. Although widely debated, most scholars believe the setting for this piece was Cézanne's native Aix in the south of France. Number 9, The Road Near the Farm, was painted by Camille Pissarro in 1871. In the middle of the composition, a man carries a heavy load up a narrow country lane as his horse waits patiently on the adjoining road. The village portrayed here is Le Viciennes, where Pissarro lived between 1869 and 1870 before he fled to London during the Franco-Prussian War. Unfortunately, soldiers eventually occupied this village and destroyed many of Pissarro's canvases laying in his home. Number 8, The Gorge at Varengeville, was painted by French painter Claude Monet in 1882. The painting depicts the coastal church at Varengeville, situated on a cliff and overlooking a gorge with a vast sea in the background. This piece is part of a larger series of works in which Monet painted this exact scene multiple times while exploring different atmospheric conditions and light variations. Number 7, Jean Reading, was painted by Camille Pissarro in 1899. The painting depicts the artist's daughter, Jean Pissarro, sitting and reading on a decadent red sofa in the family's Paris apartment. The textures of the sofa and patterned carpet are rendered with quick and dappled brushstrokes, which was characteristic of Pissarro's approach to painting. Number 6, Mother and Child, was painted by French painter Pierre-Auguste Renoir in 1886. The composition shows a tender domestic scene where a mother gently supports her young child who reaches for a nearby resting cat. Renoir's delicate and loose brushstrokes capture a soft and natural intimacy between parent and child. The painting also creates a vibrant and colorful atmosphere, which was typical of the Impressionist style. Number 5, Landscape at Bleu, was painted by Pierre-Auguste Renoir in 1893. With the use of loose brushwork and vibrant colors, Renoir captures the effects of light and atmosphere on the natural scene in the Beaulieu area. Trees and foliage dominate the composition, and two small figures can be seen in the middle. This painting is just one notable example of Renoir's signature Impressionist style. Number 4, Portrait of Madame Clémentine Valency Stora, was painted by Pierre-Auguste Renoir in 1870. The portrait depicts Clémentine Stora at 19 years old wearing a traditional high-waisted gown, which was fashionable among the Algerian Jewish community at the time. Unfortunately, Renoir's bold and unconventional use of blues and greens did not please the Stora family, who regarded the portrait as horrible and immediately resold it for 300 francs. Number 3. The Russian Bride's Attire was painted by Russian painter Konstantin Makovsky in 1889. This large-scale composition depicts a Russian bride, dressed in white, surrounded by family as her hair is brushed out into 2 braids in preparation for her wedding. The scene takes place in a room of a boyar or noble household, where only women and small children up to 7 years old could be present. Number 2. Sunflowers Along the Seine was painted by French painter Gustave Caillebotte between 1885 and 1886. This dynamic composition depicts a close-up view of golden sunflowers along the Seine River, and a white pavilion can be seen in the background. The use of a lively color palette and the dominance of the flowers in the painting suggest Caillebotte's passion for capturing this garden and the effects of radiant daylight on it. Number 1. At the Milliners was painted by Edouard Manet in 1881. Manet often painted themes from contemporary Parisian life. In this painting, a collection of hats sit arranged on spindle stands, suggesting that the woman portrayed is a milliner at work in a hat shop. Although the broad, slashing strokes of paint on the woman's shawl confirm that this painting was never finished, the details in her face indicate that Manet gave great attention to this canvas before abandoning it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what your favorite artwork featured was. Make sure to also turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future episode. Stay tuned as we continue to look at the best art museums in California. See you in the next video.